Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It was a bit of a while. I think Clash needed a break. But we're back into it. Nova eSports facing off against Clash in the winners' finals. Loser goes back down to the lower bracket, guaranteed at least third place. Winner is locked in, guaranteed at least second.
TJ, dominance of the EU region is on the line here. Let's see who can pick it up and then lose it again when they go to the grand finals. Just kidding. I'm excited for this one.
We haven't had an upper bracket team win a qualifier this season. Lower bracket team has won every qualifier so far in NA, LATAM, and EU.
So what you're saying is, if Clash wants to win the overall title, they gotta lose this one. Tricky.
I don't know if I believe that. We're into the draft phase. It'll be Zenio Nakroth, the first bands out for Clash. Ooh, no Murad. Not fully paying the Vex tax. Opposing them, it'll be Elsu, Telenas, Vex hovering himself on that final ban.
You gotta feel that Nova expected the Vex tax to be paid, especially considering they started off with a ban on the Telenas, and that's probably why it took so long for the last ban. They're like, wait a second, we don't need to ban out the ADC carry, we can just kill them? Okay, let's switch.
Annette, first pick, Valheim Lindis in response. That'll be...
Wait.
That'll be curious.
They're not playing Murad.
Me, because, yeah, no Murad comes out during the first set. I think that's just because they're not worried about the Murad being taken away. I seem to remember actually random playing Murad during Season 2 and it not going very well at all for him. So that they might just have the confidence that that's not in his pool. Lindis suffers into Murad, but if you're not worried about facing it, then Lindis is better than most things.
That is true. I would still prefer Vex's Murad over his Lindis, which I gotta say has been consistently better, speaking of the Murad. But they are rounding out a pretty solid lineup on their side. Once again, putting OXY, well, I was gonna say putting the OXY on the ROXIE, but since they have the Valheim, this is still up in the air.
Zephyrs. Curious for me because it feels... I used to think Zephyrs was like kind of cool because you got like a frontline tank from the jungle. But I've lived in a world with Wonder Woman jungle. Zephyrs is a half committal.
Well, he is reasonable, and Random certainly does like those tanky junglers, so they're gonna put him on that. Sorry? Pura?
Yeah. I wouldn't run Pura into Zephyr's Omen Morin. Jinnar. But, you know, maybe you're just not worried about melee rushdown. I can't think why,
though. I would have preferred the Alice, I gotta say, in this particular situation. But
hey, D2, do you want to say it, or should I say it?
I don't even know what you're gonna say, so you go ahead.
I, on paper, think Clash won this draft.
All right.
However, as we have said literally every game so far, Nova have to be the favorites.
We've had drafts where Nova actually won, but in those circumstances, they just run away with the game. So this is a bit different. You know what? Let's live dangerously. I'm gonna give it to Clash. Game number 1, Clash takes it.
Their draft, I think, number 1 goes to Clash. I'm gonna side against you. For one reason and one reason alone, and that is OXY running ROXIE, and Coco on Valheim. I think those two will both offer an edge of CC that is a little bit oppressive.
That said, Skye is one of the best ADC carries in the game, and meanwhile, OXY is going against Omen. Aiming on the Omen. They really like these rhymes, these alliterations going on here. But I think this will work out well for them. The one thing that scares me here for Clash is Mowgli on the Annette. He normally works a lot better with the heavy frontline supports, which allows him to get away with that aggressive playstyle. If he steps too far forward, he could get heavily punished by Nova.
Mowgli had a pretty rough season 2 of the Valor series. His Chognar was pretty good at times. That was kind of it. So I liked his play last game. I want to see him continuing to step up. We'll see full invade from Nova. Sky already read it, kites the Might Golem out of range. They'll lose some smaller jungle camps. A-Man in the meantime is stealing away some jungle of his own.
Oh, the leash in the bottom. It's going to take a lot longer than they anticipated.
Vex will be able to get it. A-Man and Random do successfully pick up the Might Golem. It's a fair trade in the early game. No lead guaranteed either way, although Sky does get a little bit of chip damage on Coco.
You don't typically see a Lindis lose in terms of speed. Obviously, Zephys was buffed in December to increase, or help his clear speed, I should say. Oh, nice wind cuffs coming in from Mowgli. Vex is extremely low. He has to actually go back to base after this.
Does he, though?
Oh, actually, I forgot Pyrrha. That's why Pyrrha is there.
Oh, maybe he ought to have. Poseidon will go through. Mowgli caught out in the midst of this. There's the follow through with the constant sustain. Zefta can't save him. It's first blood to Nova.
We said it, or at least I said it. Mowgli cannot be staying too far with a squishy support like the Annette. Goes in there, going against Poseidon on Res, who is the master at pushing you back in. Also going against a Might buffed Lindis, who can keep you in place for days with that slow. Mowgli cannot be giving Nova these advantages.
Random Zefta, all of Clash want in. Take away an advantage or two from Nova from bot lane, but it's not happening. Here's the first Abyssal. Early gold lead towards Nova, but nothing substantial yet.
Clash is really grouping up right now. I don't think that's to their favor. As
instead,
wow!
Caught out, tries to flicker. This is what OXY does. And this is why I felt that his inclusion on this roster as ROXIE was so important. He's just constantly invading, constantly finding pressure. Even if he doesn't get kills, even if he doesn't get Might Golems, he forces attention.
And Nova just understand their lineup. They know which pairs to put together, but here comes Zefta.
Yeah, Zefta back on the front lines, back on Jinnar, back taking names. GrizzlyQ forced back, that secures the Abyssal over to his side. Undoing some of the gold deficit they're at as Random clears up some jungle as well, but the 4 sentries there for the double stun. Mowgli forced to spend the Hurricane roll just to ensure that there's an easy escape, and Zefta doesn't have one. Mid lane, OXY's got the revenge. Mowgli caught out as well. That does sick Agni's grasp, and OXY's got himself 2 kills on the game, and make that 4 for his side.
I like the decision making from Clash, but the execution just was not there. They could not get out of the situation that they were in, and Nova are the experts at punishing. They get in there, they take out one, they take out another, and now they have a significant lead.
Magnetic Storm defensively from Sky, trying to hold lane. He's got Random and the rest of the side here and now. They'll need to clear wave quickly, and they've got it. That means though they can't fully pursue, and Nova will whistle away into the woods.
Nova do this every single game, TJ. What they make more happen with less heroes. They rotate bottom with 3. They force forward to rotate, and when that happens, look at this. Poseidon is already taking the Sage Golem.
Zefta here to file a formal complaint. OXY in trouble. Poseidon doubly so. There's the flicker. Consider your acquisition of the Sage Golem injuncted.
Well, Zefta is one of the bright spots here. Despite getting caught out earlier, this Jinnar is wreaking havoc upon them. Vex taking a lot of damage himself.
You will. Bot lane tower does fall. Vex stays alive despite the early threat, and you can see GrizzlyQ still using that healing line to heal him up.
So, GrizzlyQ, by the way, is going for the same item that he went with Alice. I mentioned this earlier. Ring of the Fiend is one of the best items to come out here for both Pyrrha and Alice. With those long cooldowns on the healing lights and the friendship, you really need that cooldown reduction, and that provides it for you. Gonna have that extra speed as well. So this is one of the reasons why heroes like Pyrrha and Alice are doing a lot better these days.
Oh my god! Sky just thought he could 1v1 Coco. Random's here to save the day, but he definitely could not. Vex is here as well. There's the Nature's Rally. It will be spent. Random now takes frontline, but the exuberance, it was not enough. Vex kites it back. Grizzly on the front lines. It's a complete round. Clash needs to flee, and I don't know that they can. Mowgli has a sick little wind cuffs. He'll stay alive. Random, in the meantime, out dueling Poseidon. We'll get away into the jungle, try and force a recall in the bush. Nobody
that is
checks.
An optimistic recall.
He gets away.
Oh my goodness, Poseidon not willing to try to take that. He could have gotten jumped there at a moment's notice, considering the very low cooldowns on Zephyrus. So lets him get away with it. Clash still in this game. This is very back and forth, TJ. Some mistakes on both sides, but the aggression coming out from Clash is what's saving them. They're not being run over.
Mowgli got a little bit over-aggressive down bottom, though. Got run over for his trouble. Here will be the Abyssal, picked up by Vex and GrizzlyQ. Vex with small Cayman Islands bank account at this point.
Exactly, and that's going to help him continue to put down that damage. Now picking up that rank breaker. Going to do even more damage to the members of Clash who have low armor, especially when he gets into a duel with someone like Sky.
Here's an attempt coming through onto Random. Poseidon, Coco, both here. Zepta, Sky, and Co in return. Both
that's a lack of communication, TJ. That's a lack of communication. Random seeing three members come over. If he had known that they were coming over, he could have death from above into them, and they could have taken one of them out, or even both.
My man will land the Death's Embrace. Oh no, he doesn't. Instead, it's OXY who pulls him into his embrace. All the while, minions will be whittling away at that high ground tower or the tier 1 tower in the top lane.
Mowgli has to Mowgli has to use Hurricane Wall just to get away. He's continuously caught out here.
Well, he had to be. He wanted to clear wave. He wanted to save the tower. It won't happen. OXY again! How many excellent Agnes grasps has he landed this game?
From downtown, Agnes gets right on top of him. And that is a beautiful play from OXY. Without these Agnes grasps, I dare say this would be a pretty even game, but those picks have really turned the tide in favor of Nova.
1-1 trade, Random for Vex, probably favorable for Clash, but they'll lose A-Man as well if they're not careful. OXY tries to drive by with the Agnes grasps. Again, Mowgli, this time wise to it, manages to stay far enough away. The tower should fall. Hurricane Wall does come through. Death's Embrace did land. GrizzlyQ, what? That chain was so... Okay. Zepta's here. Will find damage. OXY needs to flee. I assume that was a visual glitch on my end. Either that or the Hurricane Wall blew him out of range of the Death's Embrace, but the animation was still attached.
Well, Zepta and Mowgli are certainly paying for it. Mowgli did have a great Hurricane Wall after I've been calling him out this entire game. Had a good play there, but unfortunately followed it up again with just over-aggression and gets taken out.
Poseidon, full mobility, but Random can't chase. Now Coco and Vex are here. Welcome to Stun City, Population U.
In the end, it was all a bait. He goes down, and look at the decision-making here. Immediately, snap call onto the Dark Slayer. Clash doesn't even know that's happening. They wake up, and they're like, what? Hello? Dark Slayer? Okay, we were just there.
Oh boy. GrizzlyQ, calling Death's back and will back out. Eamon not spending Death's Embrace on his pitiful behind. As a result, Mowgli takes front line and the Agnes grasp will land. Good win cuffs for the stun. Oh, but the glaives follow and Coco finds a pretty easy kill. No backup for him. Sky will get caught out by Vex, tries to trade damage, lands a good magnetic storm, but the stuns are... Oh, the lifesteal! Bow of Slaughter! It absolutely is enough! In the meantime, high ground defense going through. A-Man's the only one alive after Zefta falls. 3 players here to push. This is going to be a dicey one. It's just the decision is made to seed until Sky gets here. He has now arrived, but into Coco and the rest, him and A-Man will just have to watch it happen. Random in the meantime, out-dueling Poseidon, but it's not enough.
While you were looking at that duel over on the right side, it was Zefta trying his hardest, using Exuberance just to try to clear the wave, but it wasn't enough as OXY was somehow tanking through it all, and they ended up taking him down in the end. Now trying to go for this Rage Abyssal Dragon with the curse on their side. This is actually difficult to do. And
a little bit more aggression from Clash, and this could actually unravel. Random should be getting an inkling of what's going on. Mowgli certainly has, but it's too late.
It seems like this happens almost every single time with Nova. They get greedy and they get away with the greed, as the opposing team just isn't privy to that. They're not used to this type of aggression from the opposing team, and Nova continues to take advantage.
A-Man was hoping someone a little bit juicier than a ROXIE would come to clear his way. Suddenly realized he didn't actually want a piece of that.
Not so much, especially when you get grasped by our little friend Agni.
OXY's been so on point.
Absolutely, and this is what a ROXIE can do. It's just been such a blowout in all these games that OXY really hasn't had to do much. But in this game, you're really seeing how important a good ROXIE is and can absolutely blow up your team.
A-Man will be in trouble. All of Clash need to get behind this tower as quick as they can. There's the general. Death sentence already spent. I don't think it's enough. Zefta needs to get back. He'll be caught out by Poseidon. Mowgli to stall. It's not enough. Sky the only one left alive as Random tries to recall. Sky's got a tower to hide behind, but not for long. Random needs to get in here and make a kill happen. He's got one. That will be all. A complete team wipe from the base. And these words sound familiar. It will be Nova eSports taking game number 1.
Nova just rebuffing every single opportunity that Clash had, every single sign of aggression. They say, not today, we are the kings of Europe, and take game number 1. TJ, can I take back my prediction, please?
Nope. That'll be 1 Mars bar.
Oh, okay. I'll see you some points. Hand that over.
Nice. Clash nice. Over on the left-hand side, working their way through the scorelines. That was a rough game for Mowgli. That was a rough game for Zefta. I think Sky did pretty well, as did Random. That just wasn't enough.
Sky was doing his thing. He was just ignoring team fights. He got his 3 kills, but for the most part, he just wasn't in there. The kills he got were under his own tower when he was defending, and he was focused on hyper farming, which was his job. Now, the problem was twofold. One is a little bit more fixable. That's Mowgli being less aggressive on the squishy supports. You just can't. You're going to die against a team like Nova. Second thing I want to point out is that Zefta, he's used to just jumping in there and taking faces, taking names, TJ, and killing the entire opposing team. Unfortunately, Nova knows better. They know how to play around the exuberance, and he wasn't able to do a whole lot.
Mm-hmm. We saw repeatedly the exuberance spent and him just unable to get anything with it. I feel a big part of that was, as I predicted in the pregame, that duo team. OXY for frontline, Coco for so many stuns. He never had any allies to back him up.
Right, and it's very difficult to go in facing either tanks in the front line or the Valheim to stun you out when you get there. And even just the Pura, when you get in there, you get stunned out by the Nature's Rally, and they're getting healed, and you're on a razor's edge with the Jinnar. You need to just barely kill everyone there. Rarely, unless you're extremely farmed up, do you just blow them out of the water and everyone evaporates. A lot of times you just barely get the kills that you need and you get out. and they were barely healing through it. The last thing I want to point out is the positioning. So Jinnar's Exuberance provides him 80% speed right off the bat, 80% increased movement speed, but it decays rapidly. So it provides you a nice burst to get in there and throw them off guard. But if they're a little bit backed off, then all of a sudden that speed's not enough to get in there, and your Exuberance wears off